Right. This is carrying on my Kim Jee-Woon reflection or review or whatever you want to call it, in the order that I actually watched them. Now, the next film I'm going to talk about is Tale of Two Sisters. You may have heard of it or you may not have heard of it. It was remade into a wildly inferior version by Hollywood called The Uninvited, and it totally wasted the acting talents of Ariel Kebbel. And when Ariel found out that actually she was in an inferior remake of a far better Korean film, this was her reaction. Right. Again, I'm talking about Kim Jee-Woon's Tale of Two Sisters. This film came out in 2003. Now, I think the Rotten Tomatoes site actually calls it a horror film. And yes, it is. But it's also a suspense thriller, and it's also a psychological reflection. Now, I didn't see this when it came out at the cinema, and it's probably just as well, because when I watched this on the DVD, I actually had to watch it 3 times and then have my daughter explain the plot twist to me in the end. It is really brilliant film. I do know other people have said they had to watch the DVD a couple of times to catch it. And I think maybe they had the same problems I had. I was convinced this was nothing more than just a ghost story. And it is so much more. Now, to give you the overall rundown of the plot, 2 sisters arrive to a family home, and the whole first part of the film is these 2 sisters interacting with each other and their stepmother and the father, who remains kind of a background figure. Now, intensities are enormous. Some of the scenes are almost excruciating to watch. There are bits in this first part of the film that are really, really scary. There's a dream sequence where a ghost comes into the room that just about makes you wet yourself. It is really creepy and scary. But as the anxiety and the pressure increases amongst the characters, the older daughter, who is the one that seems to be the focal point of most hostility with the stepmother, starts acting a bit strange. The stepmother, from the very get-go, really is acting weird. And Kim Jee-Woon, again, I can't praise this guy enough, is not afraid to use dead silence as a backdrop for any scenes he does. There's a scene at a dinner party with the father, the stepmother, and 2 family friends that is excruciating to watch. It then takes a wild turn off into left, becomes quite violent, I guess you could say, or at least one of the diners' reactions is violent. And from that point, the film takes this weird off spiral into left field. Now, I'm not going to tell you a whole lot more about the plot, because if I do, it's going to spoil the film for you. But don't do like I did and get completely hung up in the fact that you think it's a ghost story, because it is so much more than that. If you watch it like you think it's a ghost story, you're going to miss all the obvious clues. But again, it's the second film I watched of his. I'm not going to go into huge amounts of detail about any of the actors, because I hadn't seen them in anything before. I do know the stepmother was an actress that specialized in playing, I think, spoiled bitches was the way she put it in the interview. And it was a little bit against type for her. But the film overall, if I could say it was about anything, it's about consequences, and how something happened on a day in the past where everyone that's involved in this film had a part in it, and either failed to do something or ignored the circumstances and decided not to do anything. And they're all in their own way paying for this decision that they made or didn't make to act or not act. Confusing? It can be. But trust me, hang in there, watch it. It is absolutely brilliant. It's atmospheric, it's scary, it's intense. probably one of the best psychological studies I've ever seen in my life. The only film that's ever come close to the psychological impact of A Tale of Two Sisters was Hide and Seek with Robert De Niro and I think Dakota Fanning. Brilliant film, and I wondered as I watched it if they'd seen Tale of Two Sisters and was using that as a springboard for their film. That's basically all I've got to say about the movie. Again, I'm not going to do a trailer because there are trailers on YouTube. I will put a link in the description box below. And I will talk about the next film in my next video. I will hopefully be doing a joint review with my daughter, KP, or Kawaii Princess 01, in the very near future on a Korean horror film called White the Cursed Tape. But until then, that's me finished for this video. And as I always say, keep watching the movies and have fun. Bye. The only film that's come ever close to that is, was that even English?